This world might be brimming with mana, but unless you're an ancient dragon, you can't directly wield raw mana. That's why every mage needs a filter, a mana heart circle. It usually takes months of practice to create one, even for seasoned adults. But that's not the case for our boy Dale, as his elf teacher meticulously explains the process and advises him not to rush it. He's already gone and done it. She's utterly shocked when he reveals he truly formed it. She simply can't grasp how this little 8-year-old boy, who only just started training, manages to form his circle in mere minutes. But forming a heart circle is just the first step. The hardest part is learning how to properly release the gathered mana, and that's where Dale truly shines as a prodigy. On his very first try, he casts an ice bolt, so powerful it instantly shatters a massive tree. It shocks his teacher to her very core. If he's achieving feats like this with basic magic, what will he unleash when they start dark magic and necromancy? But before that, let's find out why Dale is such a genius. Hansung was the commander-in-chief of an Earth that was invaded by flesh-eating monsters. In the midst of war, a magical portal opened and dragged him to another world. The mages of this world hailed him as the otherworldly hero, someone who would save their empire from the Demon King. Hansung desperately wanted to return home, but they tortured and enslaved him with a powerful spell. He spent the next 10 years of his life slashing and killing, all for the sake of the empire, just so he could one day attain his freedom. Finally, he defeated the Demon King, but the empire never truly let him go. Even after his victory, they tasked him with one last mission, to assassinate the Radiant Knight, Sir Dale. Hansung, treated like a dog in the empire's schemes, could not defy their order due to the binding spell. In the end, he fought and tragically killed Sir Dale, but in an unexpected turn of events, a blade thrust into Hansung's back. He had spent years of his life tortured to serve an empire that ultimately betrayed and killed him. In the end, Count Brandenburgg treated the otherworldly hero as nothing more than an expendable hunting dog. The hero met his tragic end and vowed never to forget the profound humiliation he endured. That same night, his spirit transferred to another body. Lady Elena welcomed this child into their world. Turns out, the boy's father was none other than the continent's greatest necromancer, Duke Saxon. Before his demise, Hansung had snatched a stone of reincarnation. It was his sole escape from an insidious enslavement spell. But being reborn into nobility, that was completely unexpected. Our guy was ready to embrace a life of absolute leisure, all while plotting his ultimate master plan, to absolutely decimate those who wronged him. Duke Saxon, however, noticed the boy's peculiar behavior. The child hadn't shed a single tear since his birth. The Duke started to wonder if this was a very bad omen indeed. But fear not. The nanny swooped in with her ultimate technique. Prepare for the legendary ass claps of death. Our unrivaled hero suffered excruciating torture at the hands of a nanny. And if that wasn't enough, the boy's mother decided it was her turn to try, while Hansung internally begged them to stop. His mama raised her hand, but instead of a literal butt whooping, she caressed him softly. It was the first time he'd ever felt such a warm, soothing embrace. Hansung had only ever known loneliness in this world until now, but this comforting touch, it brought him to tears. And so, he began to cry in a way he never knew he could. Talk about the literal definition of making a grown-ass man cry. Later, in the master bedroom, Dale's parents beamed with satisfaction at his incredible growth. The 8-year-old had made them incredibly proud. Studying relentlessly ever since he was 4, Dale's father understood his son's fervent interest in magic, but his wife gently tugged his face, reminding Alan of their promise. The solemn promise to never teach their young boy necromancy. She worriedly reiterated their sacred vow. Alan, however, assured her he'd already prepared a very different gift for the boy's upcoming birthday. Suddenly, a knock on the door stole their attention. The maid burst in, looking absolutely frantic, sharing a shocking revelation about Dale's condition. Hearing this, the parents sprinted as fast as they could to the study. Our boy is currently trembling on his feet, enveloped in a mystical, swirling blue aura. The boy calls out to his parents, confused. Dale's mother quickly scolds him while checking his condition. Meanwhile, his father remains analytical in his assessment and can literally sense mana flowing in the air. Their child is only 8 years old, yet he's already releasing such a profound level of mana. The Duke suddenly exudes a damning, horrific sensation looming over Dale, as he questions if his son just exuded mana. Our boy here knows he's about to get absolutely walloped. if he can't make his papa proud. Even Dale didn't expect to unleash such an insane amount of mana, and he knew a rapid answer was crucial. His pops would absolutely punish him. But, to everyone's shock, Pops actually smiles warmly and pats his head, beaming with pride over his son's achievement. He expresses true regret about not being able to teach him necromancy, a confession that our boy finds truly peculiar. He is utterly seething with rage. Because without necromancy, his revenge plans would be completely ruined. The boy's mother tells him to rest up while the maids clean. As he races off, Alan and Elena share a peaceful moment. The boy's father has now come up with the perfect gift. Let's jump straight into the birthday banquet. Because, let's face it, parties are always a blast. A huge crowd of people has gathered here. Nobles from across the entire Noir dukedom. They're curious when the tiny young master will finally make his appearance. Some haven't seen him in quite a long time. Meanwhile, the man of the hour himself, or perhaps the child of the hour, is currently just chilling on the second floor, exuding peak introvert energy. Dale finds it an absolute chore to meet all these guests. At this birthday event, he can't help but wonder if it's because he was once treated like utter trash, back when he was a hero. Even now, being flattered like a rich noble's son is completely new to him. Recalling what transpired the other day, Dale details how his mana unexpectedly burst forth. You see, he was actually reading records from his past life as a hero. Despite the talent he currently possesses as the young master, it frustrates him that none of it will come to fruition if his papa doesn't teach him necromancy. Dale began secretly observing his parents, pondering methods to convince them, even entertaining the idea of requesting direct tutelage. That idea was utterly reckless, and he knew it. At last, the boy's mother, Elena, arrives in a gorgeous dress, congratulating her son. The young master curiously asks about the cloaked figure behind her. The person quickly unveils their hood and is introduced as the elder of the Blue Magic Tower. This beautiful blue demon is also a master of the water attribute. Elena introduces Sophia as the boy's new teacher. Sophia also greets the young boy and plans to work alongside him to achieve success. Meanwhile, our boy is utterly shell-shocked. He can't believe he's personally being assigned a Tower Master as his very own teacher. This means his main focus will now be on learning magic, which isn't exactly the greatest accomplishment, since it's solely for defense specialization. This clearly shows him that Elena, his mother, really doesn't want her kid learning spooky, dark necromancy magic to become another corny, third-rate copy of Sung Jin Woo. Anyway, Sophia wants to have a private meeting with the boy, and the young master readily agrees to her request. They step outside into a field of snow, where the Blue Magic Tower Master reminds the kid he'll only be learning water magic from now on. Interestingly, Sophia senses that the boy's heart lies elsewhere. She knows he truly wants to learn something else. Her astute observation completely stuns him for a moment, while Sophia reasons that it's obvious for anyone to believe that Dale wants to pursue necromancy and dark magic as his focus. The problem being, however, the current Duke's marriage situation is a known issue throughout the entire empire, you see. Ever since the Duke had the hots for Elena and married her, she became terrified. She didn't want her family to receive a scornful reputation, which meant he couldn't pass on dark magic to their children. I don't know about you guys, but damn, this woman is out here playing the controlling, overprotective tiger mom a bit too much. Even at their freaking wedding, she forced white as the color code for the wedding attire, instead of black. Sophia puts forward that because of that promise, Dale's dream is a far cry from reality, and that he won't be able to learn dark magic. However, the enlightened Tower Master actually has a proposal. She's willing to convince the young master's mother, as long as he follows her guidance. At this point, our boy finds himself utterly surprised by Sophia's acceptance of necromancy and the dark arts. After all, she's an elf who upholds the laws of nature, and the act of resurrecting the dead is considered absolutely disgusting. The Blue Tower Master simply laughs, finding herself thoroughly entertained by the boy's words. She then wonders what he would make of the priests who resurrect the dead back to life, too. She believes that reincarnation, or resurrection, and necromancy are essentially the same when you truly consider it. From this brief conversation alone, Dale quickly grasps just how wise his new teacher truly is. She possesses an open-minded perspective, and might just prove to be an excellent teacher because of it. Wrapping up their discussion, Sophia declares it's time for their very first lesson. She knows Dale has already formed a small fragment of his mana circle, so his first goal now is to help him expand it, allowing it to fully become a first circle. Dale is intrigued, believing this approach aligns perfectly with his goals. To learn spells with Sophia's expert guidance, he places his hand over his heart, feeling an internal world open up inside him. This world is rich and brimming with mana. But the problem is that only capable creatures, like dragons, can fully harness the true power of raw mana. For human beings, however, a filter is absolutely required. This filter is established as a mana heart circle. The idea is to gather fragments of this circle around one's heart, rearrange, and cycle them through. This way, a proper circle can channel mana flow around the heart. Dale follows her guidance perfectly, achieving his objective for the very next step. She instructs him to rotate the mana around his heart. This part of the process normally takes at least a month, so she urges him not to feel discouraged. But here's the shocking bit. This boy has done it in an instant. The 8-year-old's successful achievement absolutely baffles the Tower Master. The same kid who had just begun training already achieved his first circle in the span of mere moments. From this revelation alone, it becomes crystal clear that our boy is a bona fide prodigy. An astonished Sophia asks him to release mana through the first circle. Following her instructions, he concentrates his control over the circle. He already knows about the immense difficulty of this process for pure beginners. Even in his first life, he was unable to catch up to the likes of Duke Saxon. The best he could do was use destruction spells, carved into his body using powerful engravings. But this life is entirely different, as he has purely inherited the incredible talent of his father, opening up the possibility to learn other forms of magic. Dale's focus is now exquisitely refined at his fingertips. He channels his energy to the circle's endpoint. His past life's experience helps him shape an icicle shard. Sophia watches, utterly captivated. She points out how Dale flawlessly crystallized mana into an ice bolt. The shot fires, blasting straight into a tree, sending it exploding into countless pieces. Sophia is absolutely stunned, yet again. She thought his power would be weak due to its simple form, but this kid just utterly shredded the wood. Her newest disciple's talent was truly otherworldly. Even the Tower Master is visibly shocked, stunned by his ability to cast a perfect ice spell. The boy is confused, wondering if he made some kind of mistake. You see, the magic formula he applied is far, far beyond any normal child's capabilities. Rotation, acceleration, then congestion. All three stages form the golden ratio of a perfect spell. Sophia witnessed the young master pull off a tremendous spell, shaken to her very core by its effectiveness. She finally realizes just how precious his talent truly is. And in the very next scene, this woman straight up offers her resignation letter to the Duke. The Duke is utterly shocked, unable to believe a master of her caliber is calling it quits. Sophia cuts him off, revealing how the young boy terrifyingly used a lethal spell in his very first lesson. The Duke fidgets, completely speechless from shock. No words escape his mouth. Sophia goes on to state that the 8-year-old also flawlessly applied the golden ratio. Long story short, she labels Dale as the perfect specimen to become the ultimate killing machine. The boy's father realizes that Sophia's defensive teaching style is simply incompatible with Dale's violent attribute. However, Sophia outright denies this and actually feels the necessity to guide the boy's growth. Of course, even the Duke thinks she's foolish for backing out. Sophia turns serious, highlighting the dark magic of Alan's family. She already knows about Lady Elena's marriage vow. However, a serious-toned Sophia straight up calls them out on their bullshit for limiting Dale's growth, especially given his unmatched talent. The young master is sneakily eavesdropping on their conversation, but can't hear anything meaningful. He's worried sick about what will become of him now. Dale wasn't really intending to pull off such a powerful spell either, and vividly remembers Sophia's pale expression when he did. His main hurdle is his inability to control the raw output of his spell. It's definitely something he needs to master for his own good. Our boy's contemplation is shattered by Uncle's sudden arrival. Uncle Helmet is absolutely thrilled to meet the young master. Meanwhile, Dale is eager to hear all about his travels. Helmet explains he'd been away from home, fulfilling his duty to protect the ducal family and defeating powerful monsters along the way. Our boy quickly puts the pieces together. Helmet had been battling deep inside a dungeon. Let's step back and truly understand the intricacies of this world. Monsters violently erupt from dungeons, a deadly threat to any noble's territory. Back when the Demon King reigned, the monsters rampaged, causing utter devastation. Modern knights are dispatched on crucial missions to ensure these monsters never overflow again. Their goal: eliminate any that have escaped the dungeon. Duke Saxon's territory is in greater peril than usual, primarily because of Dale's previous life as a hero. Even though he spectacularly defeated the Demon King, the Demon King's territory was preserved for the Empire to use. In other words, they were handling the Demon King's lingering aftermath. Dale and Helmet's conversation is joined by another visitor, none other than the Duke himself. Duke Alan thanks Helmet for his tremendous dedication for the prosperity of their land. But what truly surprises Dale is his mother's sudden arrival. Lady Elena greets him with immense joy after learning he achieved the first circle. They're even delighted to reward him with a gift, which sends our boy's mind into overdrive. Dale briefly entertains the idea of necromancy, but he knows that would absolutely kill the mood instead. Our bro then pulls out a total wild card, and Deadass tells his parents to make him a new sister. Both of them are completely stunlocked, while Helmet simply laughs at the young boy's sheer boldness. That night, the young master rests comfortably in his bed. Internally pissed, he has to fake being a child just to blend in. Fatigue slowly catches up as he drifts off into a nightmare. Here, former hero Han Sung is backstabbed by that same bastard knight again. The ghost of him even mocks Han Sung for enjoying a new, comfortable life, chillingly threatening him by declaring the Empire will eventually slaughter him. They'll find and exterminate him once again. That eventful nightmare jolts our boy awake with an overflow of mana. His heart aches, feeling moments away from exploding. This is the terrifying effect of mana rampage, a violent phenomenon where Dale strengthens his resolve. He curses the Empire for clinging to him until his dying breath. He steps outside, hoping for a breath of fresh air, but the mana seeping from his body only intensifies. Panicked, he spots a sudden beacon of hope. It's Master Sophia. She pities the young boy, experiencing such a severe mana rampage at his age. She places her palm gently over his chest, then begins siphoning off the chaotic effects. Sophia understands that if Dale's magic fully corrupts, no one will ever be able to reverse the damage. Thanks to her swift intervention, the rampaging effects are neutralized. Sophia then addresses the young master, revealing the true nature of magic. It's inextricably linked to the mirror of one's heart. Basically, each mage possesses a unique magical capacity, simply shaped by their personality. In Dale's case, his talent specializes in the killing of others. This gruesome talent poses a danger to both others and himself, handing him a spell book. She proudly declares herself his teacher in a new art. It's the Book of Necromancy, as Sophia playfully calls it. An amusing twist of fate that binds us together from here on. This is her special birthday present for the young boy, who instantly hugs her tight, overflowing with gratitude. Days pass. We cut to a scene just outside the northern gate. Here, Sophia has brought him before a group of rabbits. She intends this exercise to mirror the hunting experience Dale shared with his father. Following her guidance, our boy prepares a heavy-duty spell to send this poor rabbit straight to its doom. His concentrated ice shard travels at immense speed, and upon contact, it instantly vaporizes the rabbit's flesh. A true execution, though Sophia notes something interesting. Dale had just taken a life, but without showing any signs of wavering. She reminds him of what she'd said earlier, how the use of the same spell differs between mages. The young master has no idea why this is the case. Sophia highlights the crucial notion of magic, acting like a mirror to one's very soul. This also means it reveals a person's true personality. Sophia continues, bringing up common magic names like firewall. In reality, however, these names only serve to carve out magic from one's imagination. For example, the red magic tower fosters strength above all, while the blue tower highlights harmony. Both, therefore, share a fundamentally different philosophy, which becomes the very core of their magic. Their philosophy directly shapes the spells, and it's the very foundation of the magic system. There were also other towers, like Noir, White and Green. This lengthy information dump didn't faze the young master one bit. Sophia figured she might be yapping a bit too much. So, let's kick things up a notch with necromancy, channeling its most basic spell. He gathers dark energy around the rabbit's corpse. Tendrils of purplish-black energy swarm the body, before guiding the corpse with mana strings to control its power. Necromancy works with focus points on the head, the spine, and the knees. The strings act as his instruments of control, and he performs the spell flawlessly. Dale earns high praise from his teacher. They transition swiftly into the second stage, which involves using an ice spell called Frozen Armor, sending an icicle path up ahead. He helps consolidate the rabbit with powerful, spiky armor. This little fucker is ready for war. Sophia praises the armor's form and wonders how its defenses would hold up. Casting a bunch of ice spikes, she directs a spiral of them straight up ahead. The spikes obliterate the rabbit's armor upon contact, knocking it away. However, a small layer successfully remains, bringing Dale enormous happiness. So, the defense was successful. But Sophia can read his eager expression and wonders if the young master has a question he's meaning to ask. Excitedly, our boy raises his voice, begging her to teach him proper usage of water attributes as well, though it brings a smile to her face. Sophia's response is absolutely shocking. She straight up rejects his ass, revealing that he merely performed a simple use of water magic. Today, among all the forms of magic, water has an insane learning curve and requires a deeply developed understanding. Most beginners can't even learn one form of magic at first. The only people capable of performing two at the same time are considered dual mages. Even for our boy's insane talent, Sophia thinks it's impossible for him to learn two types equally. In fact, even more so. The girl literally shatters his expectations for being way too overconfident. Our hero's reality shatters instantly, because despite his masterful magic control, his teacher still dismisses him as an amateur. This crushing thought plunges our hero into despair. Anyone would be absolutely devastated by that. Indeed, Dale is so disheartened by her response that he abruptly calls an end to their lesson. That same night, our young hero retreats to his study. He has an absurd amount of confidence in his abilities, convinced he could do anything if he just learned enough. A new power awakens within him, and yes, that's a Star Wars pun, as young Anakin truly yearns to become a Jedi. After spending the entire night pushing himself to the limit, Dale arrives at the training grounds the next day. He's so exhausted that Sophia has to call his name multiple times. She can tell he overextended himself and didn't get a wink of sleep. His teacher fears the young boy is overworking himself, but Dale is ready to show her what he's truly made of. First, he resurrects the rabbit, and then he coats it with the same magical armor. The Blue Tower Master is impressed by his immediate mastery over the combined spells, but a shocking development unfolds when Dale uses that same armor, detonating it with a powerful explosion that blasts out spikes of ice in every direction. Sophia is stunned because the first part was just an appetizer. The undead rabbit then exudes eerie purple fumes before erupting with a devastating purple energy discharge. The rabbit explodes again, lashing out with ice bolts in every direction. Sophia is so completely caught off guard that she has to conjure a defense barrier to block them. When his astonishing attack concludes, her face turns blank. Dale doesn't even seem impressed and reveals his newly learned corpse and ice explosion abilities. Wielding both attributes, he masterfully merged their effects together. He teasingly mocks his teacher, asking if he can be branded as a dual mage from now on. The enlightened elf stands utterly baffled. She'd never seen an attack like this before. A complex mixture of both ice and dark magic to create a complex explosion trap. The initial detonation wasn't even the final part. Dale's subsequent usage of spikes was the absolute cherry on top. Sophia finds herself completely overwhelmed, as if she is dealing with someone with only one intention: to kill mercilessly on the battlefield. It makes her wonder what kind of mental image forms inside Dale's mind. Having no idea that it's Hansung's intimidating bloodlust, the young master sees Uncle Helmet again. Mounted on horseback, he leads his team back after raiding another dungeon. But this time, they faced a smaller group of monsters. Captain Helmet also praises the Black Cavalry for their powerful assistance. The Black Cavalry is an elite unit wielding lances, imbued with an immense dark aura. They're considered the strongest cavalry in the Dukedom of Saxon. Their leader, the Knight Captain Helmet himself, is considered one of the most powerful seven-sword masters of the continent. The young master deeply respects him and begs to be taught some of his sword techniques. Captain Helmet politely declines the offer, so the kid bids him farewell for the journey. With Captain Helmet gone, Sophia thinks it's about time they return as well. We jump ahead to later that night, where Sophia reports Dale's usage of dual magic. In their recent training session, the Duke is quite shocked to learn about Dale's usage of necromancy, while Lady Elena appears deeply disappointed. Sophia deviated from her orders and ended up teaching the boy more than just water magic. She didn't want to control the scope of training, and shared that. The young master expressed interest in learning necromancy. After a momentary pause, Lady Elena speaks up. She still offers strong refusal of dark magic, and recommends Sophia to keep on teaching him the water attribute instead. The Blue Master gives her word, and assures them she'll take care of the boy. Before leaving, Sophia feels a pang of guilt, and turns to apologize to Lord Noir for breaking their promise. Exhaling, Dale's mother emphasizes her pride in Dale's ability to wield 2 magic circles. For his age, she thinks it's a given for him to wield so much talent, especially as their son. With great fear and disappointment, the Duke speaks up against his wife, revealing his interest to teach Dale necromancy. He wants to hone the kid into becoming his heir and a talented mage. At the same time, it's his right to bestow his magic upon his son, even though he feels terrible about breaking their promise. Speaking from concern, Dale's mother reminds him that necromancy is still viewed in a negative light by the general public. That was the main reason. She wanted to sway their child from the same path. However, Lady Elena has accepted reality and no longer cares about the public perception, allowing her husband to go on teaching Dale necromancy. The Duke is rendered speechless, because only in a Manhwa can a woman take real accountability. And now, Dale's true necromancy training hilariously begins. In their very first lesson together, the Duke is sorely disappointed by Dale's pitiful necromancy control. He can't do much because that's all Sophia could teach him back then. They're currently situated within the magic workshop, a special chamber hidden deep beneath the castle. The boy's father has brought him here to finally reveal what true necromancy truly entails. First things first, the Duke summons a dozen ancient tomes for his son to devour like a sponge. Dale's primary mission, to deeply understand the intricate structure of every single life form, allowing him to control them with unmatched efficiency. Time flew as this poor kid was forced to absorb every single book like a sponge. With the foundational basics finally concluded, the Duke began to guide him through the ways of practical magic. An excited Dale was absolutely hungry for a real lesson. Shortly thereafter, he found himself startled by the gruesome corpse of a goblin resting before him. The boy's father immediately understands his confusion. The Duke explains that truly talented necromancers differentiate themselves by transforming even ordinary soldiers into formidable, capable death knights. This goblin is no more than an undead soldier, and he grows intensely curious about the boy's approach to control it. Channeling dark, ominous magic into his hands, Dale immediately meets his first true obstacle. You see, controlling a rabbit is no big deal because of its tiny, simple size, but a goblin is far more complex, requiring intricate mana strings. Dale's first attempt results in a failed connection, but he relentlessly continues hammering at his connection. Weaving the ethereal threads to control his puppet, he applies another approach, but still finds himself utterly unable to make the goblin move. Stuck once more, the young master feels cornered. Without a viable solution, his father swiftly swoops in, praising the boy for successfully stiffening the corpse's body first. However, the immediate drawback of this method is that it severely limits movement. To demonstrate a true solution, the Duke unleashes his own ominous, dark tendrils, swarming the goblin's body in an incredibly efficient manner that he shrewdly targets its rib cages instead. Normally, rib cages are meant to protect a creature's vital organs, but a lifeless corpse certainly doesn't require them. So, the very same rib cage dramatically manipulates into a fearsome set of claws, erecting menacingly from the undead's arm. This is the true art of necromancy, to masterfully alter the structure of the dead according to one's deepest needs. Dale is supremely, utterly impressed. He immediately turns to his father, requesting to be taught the ancient ways of the Noir magic tower. The Duke smiles, feeling a deep pride in the boy's keen interest. Getting serious, he levels with the young boy. He reveals that the true essence of black magic lies within death. To become the greatest necromancer, however, one must first understand and value the weight of life. The Duke's words yank him back to the terrifying days of Hansung, where he once loomed over a desperate, begging opponent. His eyes, glowing red, showed absolutely no mercy. His sword was raised, and before the man's pleas even finished, Hansung mercilessly slaughtered him. The Duke gently shakes the boy out of his haunting memory. A deeply haunted expression lingers on his face. In truth, Dale realizes he has walked a brutal path of carnage and blood, but in front of his father, he pretends to be completely fine. The young master's training progresses remarkably each day. News of Duke Saxon teaching his son necromancy spreads across the empire like wildfire. The fact that he shattered his marital vows immediately drew the attention of many. Because of this, he becomes the focal point of the nobles' attention. They're all keenly focused on Dale's progress. For better or worse, a few weeks later, the young boy is fiercely training against his uncle. Their flurry of slashes continues relentlessly, until Helmet suddenly swings his blade dangerously close to the boy's face. Shockingly, the young boy slams it with a deflection so powerful that Helmet's weapon is knocked clean away. The boy's uncle is profoundly impressed by his ability. The young master understands that this was just a clever trick. Helmet had dropped his weapon on purpose. But in reality, it's because Dale deployed special sword techniques that would ordinarily be capable of killing an opponent in a fight. Our boy's hands are all swollen up, but he still snagged the W. So that's good. Helmet is utterly stunned by his swordsmanship and wonders why the kid is focusing on becoming a mage. After all, knights are always protecting mages. So Helmet also doesn't understand why Dale is training with such ferocity. It's worrisome, because he fears the kid might end up with an injury at this rate. With his hand patched up, Dale responds with strong resolve. The reality is, he doesn't want to rely on defensive guards to protect him all the time. But that's just a cover for the sneaky little kid's real intention: to learn true sword mastery from his brilliant uncle. Helmet laughs, hailing it as an excellent answer. Their pleasant chat was interrupted when Dale's mother suddenly chimed in. The young master's thoughts are instantly diverted, wondering why she's here. In the surprisingly chilly training grounds, Elena has arrived to check on his training progress, and she's holding on to some rather big news to share. First, she brings up the very specific birthday present Dale requested. The kid himself doesn't have a single clue what she's talking about, until our bro suddenly remembers his fervent demand for a little sister. And lo and behold, the Duke clapped her cheeks that very same night. And wouldn't you know it, a baby is officially on the way. Dale is absolutely ecstatic upon hearing this incredible news. 10 months fly by, and lo and behold, a precious baby sister has officially arrived. The young master struggles to fully grasp that he finally has a sibling. Lady Elena even offers the boy a chance to hold the precious little one. To his complete shock, Dale gently, and quite surprisingly, takes his baby sister, and she instantly goes all quiet and still in his embrace. Let's hear it in the comments for Papa Duke's unwavering commitment to the cause. The young master lovingly cradles his precious sister in his arms, while the boy's father solemnly emphasizes that this, right here, is the true weight of life itself. This is precisely what he needs to protect. Fast-forwarding a bit, we jump to a scene with Master Sophia, where she's putting him through some intense, real combat training. It almost stuns Dale to realize he's being offered to fight her seriously. The Blue Tower Master grants him full permission to come at her, with every ounce of his strength. The young master swiftly sweeps up a magic circle, preparing a potent spell, while his formidable teacher, Sophia, eagerly wonders just how much the boy has truly improved. His very first move, he shoots a searing bolt of ice straight at her face. Sophia casually swats it away, utterly destroying it, calling it nothing more than a slow, opening attack. He repeats the same uninspired move for his second attack, and she calls him out on his absolute bullshit for going easy on her. Dale is left utterly speechless, realizing he's completely exposed. Responding with a hint of kindness, Sophia offers her very first strike, even advising the boy to quickly conjure a protective barrier. Terrified, the young master barely manages to block the devastating attack. If he hadn't, it would have left him severely bruised and battered. Sophia is clearly satisfied with the young master's lightning-quick reflexes, as he quickly conjures an impressive ice armor. That last-minute defense truly worked wonders. But now she wants him to come at her with absolute full speed, with his hand firmly placed on the ground. The young master then manipulates the molecular composition of the ice wall, erecting a towering, monstrous behemoth of an ice wall that completely stuns Sophia, who struggles to understand his intention behind such an unusual move. With a quick glance, she instantly notices just how incredibly dense the ice is, meaning it's incredibly durable. Sophia still can't quite grasp why he'd deliberately conjure an ice wall, of all things. The only thought plaguing her mind is that the young master might be deliberately stalling to recover. Oh, but you guys are not ready for his next move. This man then transforms the entire ice wall, fracturing it into a honeycomb structure. His goal? Utter destruction. Chanting, "Detonate." Dale manipulates the wall, obliterating it point blank, right in Sophia's face as the wall fades. While the young master believes he's just landed a critical hit, he'd already enhanced the ice wall's density, then forced it to explode, shards shooting out. It's a move no one could easily avoid or escape unscathed. The dust settles, and our boy's jaw drops when he sees the shocking sight, his master's body torn apart. The real Sophia reveals herself behind the frozen statue, appearing completely unharmed. Dale lets out a sigh. For a moment there, he genuinely thought he'd killed his teacher. Turns out Sophia had cast an illusion spell first. She praises the boy for his impressive use of magic. Despite her quick-time defense, Sophia still ended up with a scratch on her face. It's insane to think that a mere boy, wielding first circle magic, managed to harm a tower master. Dale quickly apologizes for hurting her, but she's genuinely thrilled. It genuinely thrills her that he landed a scratch, because it proves Dale was going all out and trusted his teacher to defend herself effectively. Wiping off the scratch, she calls him an excellent student. She's baffled he was able to conjure up such an insane spell formula just like that, but Dale gives her all the credit. What's truly hilarious is that Sophia is all fine here, but in the next scene, our girl is suffering peak depression. Even the Duke is like, "Hold up. What the? Why do you have that scratch?" Sophia responds her carelessness led to the attack succeeding. Duke Saxon respects her for enduring that pain, but Sophia actually loves cultivating Dale's talent. The Duke then has an additional request, which Sophia is absolutely delighted to hear. He reveals that a group of orcs has invaded the mountain range, and honestly, it's a pretty normal group of monsters for a cavalry unit to handle. But here's the truly amazing part. This man is sending his barely 10-year-old child straight into the battlefield. Sophia has some serious reservations about this plan. She points out that the boy isn't ready for a true mission. However, Dale's father assures her his son won't be on the front lines. Their primary goal is to defend House Saxon's territory, exuding malevolent dark energy. The Duke intends for his son to grasp his responsibilities. Meanwhile, a clueless Sophia asks for instructions. It turns out Dale will be entrusted with a rather powerful artifact for this mission, and it'll require Sophia's guidance for him to control it. Alright, let's talk about artifacts. These are items imbued with immense magical power, activated by channeling mana, or even sacrificing one's own body. Typically, the most potent artifacts are also the most perilous, potentially proving fatal. House Saxon possesses a vast collection of these formidable items in their vault. Dale is now being led there as the Duke's heir, the one destined to participate in the coming battle. This revelation is news to the boy, who is absolutely thrilled to finally get real combat experience. Duke Saxon reveals his objective: to exterminate the orc horde with a subjection team. But before he can execute this mission, the boy must properly wield the power of darkness. Before him lie 3 powerful artifacts, laid out for display. The Saxon family holds a treasury of Demon King artifacts, acquired after conquering the Demon King's domain. They're far beyond the strength of ordinary artifacts, evidenced by their overwhelming mana flow. The Duke emphasizes that they're all immensely powerful, which makes them just as dangerous. It's crucial for Dale to harness total control before using any of them. Speaking of Dale, the kid straight up says peace out and dips on his papa. The Duke helplessly looks around, searching for his son. Meanwhile, the kid roams around, searching for a compatible artifact. One intriguing artifact calls out to him, sensing the young master's burning need for revenge. This murderous power, along with many others, calls out to him, seducing him with their attractive might. Dale realizes these artifacts can sense Hansung's threat coursing through his veins. However, he can't rely on their calling alone. He craves something even more powerful: One such artifact appears particularly interesting to him. This isn't just any cloak, it's the legendary Shadow Cloak, and it boasts a truly rich and dark history. Way back during Hansung's era, one of the Demon King's most fearsome dukes once wielded this top-tier artifact. Known for its unique ability to manifest shadows, it was an absolute nightmare to contend with. Intrigued, the young master quickly dons it. But Sophia and his father instantly catch on, shouting his name. Suddenly, the cloak engulfs him, pulling him into another dimension. The moment he wore it, he gained access to its deepest feelings. The artifact harbors an insatiable, bottomless hunger. Its previous master could summon a shadow tornado at will, effortlessly bending darkness to his every whim. But to truly unlock its full, terrifying potential, Dale's mission is to defeat the dark creature that lurks deep inside the artifact, subduing it completely to his will. The dark creature manifests as monsters of pure shadow, its sole aim to utterly dominate the young boy. Dale's in a seriously tight spot now. And the worst part? No one from the outside can offer any help. It's like a devastating domain expansion, right here, right now. Sophia's concern skyrockets, while the Duke anxiously admits his son could be devoured by the entity. At this rate, things are looking truly grim. So the Duke prepares to intervene, ready to pull him out by force. They're both absolutely stunned. As a blinding flash of light erupts from the barrier, Dale emerges from it, safe and sound, sporting his all-new epic drip. The Blue Tower Master quickly checks on his condition. Miraculously, nothing seems to have happened. And that's precisely what worries his father the most. Duke Saxon can't even begin to fathom how a little boy his age could endure the burden of such a powerful artifact. Curious, the young master then queries his father. Filled with joy, he begs to try on the rest of the artifacts too, which is just his way of saying he wants to tame them all. This absolutely wild request completely baffles them both. Still, the Duke surprisingly accepts his request, and that's how our boy ultimately ended up exploring every single artifact in their family's treasury, without a moment's rest. More days flew by with the young master's intense training. Helmet found himself utterly flabbergasted by the sight of the boy, casually wearing the majestic shadow cloak. The kid, however, confirms it. Helmet is stunned that a small child is somehow controlling the cloak, without a single problem. Dale tells him he just feels a slight tingling sensation. It occasionally bothers him, but aside from that, he's got everything completely under control. Our young master knows the cloak hasn't had a proper master in ages, which is precisely why it's so drawn to him. Most people would be absolutely terrified of this shadowy creature, but our boy is out here using talk. No jutsu to make friends with it. Helmet thinks the kid's a psycho for calling a creature of darkness lonely. Hilariously, Dale then steps on his so-called new friend, completely humbling the creature's ego. The kid has a request he's been dying to ask. Dale straight up asks for a real sparring match to test his abilities, thrilled and absolutely aching for a battle. The sword master readies his towering blade, prepared to meet the kid's expectations head-on. Meanwhile, our boy is starting to realize he's completely cooked and burnt to a crisp, because facing one of the greatest sword masters of their time is absolutely no joke. The man says, "Do not fear," but anyone would be pissing their pants in this situation. The good news is that Helmet intends to use only basic swordsmanship, so that's a free handicap for our young master. Dale fully understands how knights fight with honor and sincerity. His main goal in the fight isn't to fight seriously, but to use the full extent of his cloak's abilities. Utilizing the power of the dark, Dale commands the use of shadow creatures, which is the key benefit of this artifact. As a test, he unleashes the ability called Shadow Blade Rush, sending tendrils of black against his opponent. The fierce knight utterly demolishes all of these tendrils with a single, powerful slash of his blade. It's a striking response, enough to stun our young master. Helmet praises the boy and bolts right ahead, to go on the offense this time. Less than a second later, he's already right up in the kid's face. The young master skillfully engulfs the ground in shadows, in an effort to trap the knight. The same shadowy ground then erupts with spikes to catch him off guard. The knight wasn't expecting to be caught in such a sudden trap, but just like last time, this man literally shatters the ability's effect. With just raw strength alone, Dale is cornered and attempts to use an interesting ability to block Helmet's offense. The knight is impressed because just now, he'd used enough strength to shatter any ordinary weapon into pieces. This fight is truly enlightening him. about the special abilities of a top-grade artifact. Intrigued, Helmet looks ready for at least 10 more of those attacks. In a similar fashion, the epic clash between the young master and his hero continued, while the rest of the Black Cavalry watched in stunned bafflement. In all their previous duels against Helmet, none of them had ever managed to withstand even 10 hits from their formidable captain. It truly felt like they were being outshone and utterly outmatched by a literal 10-year-old. As more days passed, it was finally the night of mission deployment. Before heading out, Lady Elena anxiously approached her son. She strongly objected to his mission participation, but our boy assured his mom that everything would be fine, with Helmet by his side to protect him. The worried mother just didn't want her baby boy to get hurt. Dale reassures her that he must become stronger, so he can one day lead the very dukedom his father commands. To prepare for those difficult times, Dale needed to put in the effort now, so he could protect his family in the future. He requests his dear mother to have faith in him and allow him to carry this responsibility. The boy's sincere request is enough to melt her heart, granting him full permission to go. She watches him mount his horse. In the next scene, we're brought to the temporary base. Helmet has prepared his troops with all the necessary equipment, and they're ready to go. The boy's father is also there, and suddenly instructs Dale to command the cavalry to march ahead. The young master is understandably confused, until the Duke explains that this very cavalry will one day be under his leadership. Even from this moment, they are his knights. This marks a truly important moment for him. No longer is he leading as the hero Hansung anymore. Instead, he's the leader of the Black Cavalry as Dale, and this time, the outcome will be different. Assuming leadership, the kid addresses his valiant warriors, his hand raised to the heavens. He roars, "The March of House Saxon." Shortly afterward, the troops are sent into motion. 250 men are being deployed, alongside the elite ranger unit for this mission. Their objective, to eliminate close to 1,000 orcs, who have already crossed the mountains and are now headed to the river to escape the harsh cold. The Black Cavalry intends to lead the first attack by crossing the lower section of the river in an effort to ambush their target. The big obstacle, of course, is the deep, overflowing river. Even 50 men couldn't possibly cross it. For this purpose, the ethereal blue elf steps up, wielding her ice magic, poised to forge a magnificent bridge of ice. Dale is thrilled she's joined them on this mission. Even despite her pacifist nature, her water magic clears a path ahead, enabling the group to safely pass through. She won't be assisting them beyond this point, and wishes them good luck. Dale also bids his goodbyes. But the moment he leaves, Sophia is deeply moved. She feels profound worry for her student, caring deeply for his safety. Meanwhile, let's head over to the orc base. Our group has already arrived, preparing their fiery arrows, ready to ambush the monsters. With the arrows unleashed, the orcs are alarmed as dozens collapse immediately. The rest of them erupt with fury, while Helmet roars for his first 3 battalions to form a wedge. They lead the charge while the commander watches from above, inquiring about Dale's opinion. The ever-analytical young boy notices the horses are moving close to 40 kilometers an hour. The current formation is the Call Lance formation, greatly amped by the aura of each knight. This is an attack so devastating the orcs cannot possibly survive. From the looks of things, even Dale admits this fight is completely one-sided, in their favor. While the Duke admits the power of their cavalry is no joke, Helmet urges the boy to stay sharp on his toes. They haven't won yet. In fact, this was only just the beginning. Responding to the Knight's call formation, the orcs create a wedge of their own, intelligently blocking with shields. The Commander Knight admits that this ambush won't be enough to finish the orcs off. The smart play here is to retreat and reorganize for a secondary charge until most of the orcs are wiped out. He sends a beaming flare up into the skies, a clear signal for the knights to retreat. These same aggressive knights, who were just devastating the orcs, just turned back and left. This is a stunning revelation for the monsters. To capitalize on this opportunity, they take aim at the retreating knights with their spears. Talk about precise aim. Maybe a little too precise for comfort. And that's bad news, I'm afraid, because a single spear downs a poor horse in one hit. Pay close attention, because this is a critical moment for Dale, who is visibly shaken by the fall of an ally right behind him. Any seasoned war expert would already count this man as dead, even if he's only injured for now. This defenseless knight is now utterly helpless on the field, where an ORC is preparing to finish him off. Annoyed to the brim, the young master fiercely glares at the adults, questioning their refusal to do anything about the situation. The two men remain silent, knowing they have no good answer at this moment. The knight is about to get mauled to death, and Dale isn't fast enough to save him even with his horse. Instead, he focuses inward, with the goal of using an ability to pierce the orc with a long-distance shot. The typical orc has really thick skin, providing tough defense for this approach to work. Dale intends to manipulate the ice bolt formula, drawing inspiration from a modern bullet. He also calculates the necessary trajectory to aim his new weapon precisely. With those fundamentals set, the genius kid coats the ice bolt into a bullet, inspired by the Barrett M98B. With his finger pointed at the behemoth, he fires a shot so incredibly fast that it pierces the orc's side, gravely injuring it with a clean hit. The Duke is fascinated, while Helmet is impressed by Dale's perfect trajectory, using this opportunity to make his move. Dale charges right into the battlefield. The Duke doesn't want his kid to be stopped. In fact, his face is full of pride. He can't believe his son managed to create a unique formula with an insane level of destructive power. It shows that Dale's inner world is nearing its completion cycle. As our boy charges into the battlefield, he notices a unique pattern. From the orcs, they're regrouping for another tactical response. Dale wants to save the knight, but he's got two problems to face. The first isn't an issue, but the second, involving his original formula for combat, is way too long for practical use. He highlights how simple math formulas, like this very basic one you see on the screen, are shortened to make things easier. In a similar manner, Dale intends to shorten his formulas as well. This time, he draws inspiration from the Ice 98 Magnum instead of the Barrett, though it still seems quite long. The devious young master is thrilled to test it out, deploying his ice magic once more. He takes aim and absolutely obliterates the orc's head with an ice bullet. That piercing round kills the damn thing instantly, while the helpless knight staggers. Questioning why the young master would risk his life so much just to save him, Dale steps down, assuring the young man that he's in safe hands. He never wants to be the type of leader who abandons his men for serving him. Now, that's a damn slap to the face to his pops and uncle, if you ask me. Well, he better execute on those words, because two more of these ugly fuckers are approaching fast. Instead of using ice magic this time, our boy commands the use of shadows, engulfing the arena with slashes of black. This ability is called the Shadow Blade, and it cuts everything in the domain. Kind of like Sukuna's malevolent shrine. Heads are being chopped off, while the cloaked entity devours their bodies. This thing literally gobbles them up like KFC, and leaves only bones behind. The last orc observes in sheer horror, realizing it's dead as hell. Dale laughs at its bravery before massacring it with an ice bullet, and with that, the group is taken care of. Unfortunately, even after saving the knight, apparently this guy's broken his legs and can't move. Something tells me the dude is going to get fired the second they go back. Our boy carries him like a princess and arrives safely with flying colors. Commander Helmet is more than happy to lead the full charge. Upon the boy's return house, Saxon's forces are more motivated than ever after witnessing their young master's epic display of bravery. In the next scene, we come to learn that these guys basically off-screen the entire fleet of orcs. The mission is a success, but the Duke has personal business with his son. With a serious tone, he questions why his son rushed into battle recklessly. The Duke's face is the most annoyed it's ever been, while the young master realizes that his pops is actually scolding him. Dale confidently reminds his pops of his own words, recalling his vow to lead the cavalry someday. His actions just now perfectly match that ambition. The Duke instantly dismantles the boy's flimsy justification. This revelation truly opens the young master's eyes, especially since he knows his father deeply cares for his men. Wait, what? Dale counters, asking his father why he stood by as his own people fell. The Duke explains that knights charging into battle never expect to be rescued by others. They understand the inherent risks. But the boy insists he should have still tried to save that poor man. The Duke angrily scolds him, explaining that his actions just now have created an expectation. By saving just one person, The other knights will now expect someone to save them too. This is a goddamn nuke. Of a point that undeniably clicks in Dale's mind. The Duke wonders just how many knights the boy expects to save. With that kind of mindset, Dale is left speechless, while Duke Saxon reminds him that knights train for this very duty. He vows he won't intervene, unless they're truly at the absolute brink of their combat limits. It's the profound respect he shows for their commitment. Unfortunately, dear old dad here is dropping some incredibly solid points that the young master simply cannot refute. Hansung had learned this simple truth in his previous life, but he ended up forgetting it. Despite all this, the Duke comforts his son, expressing how proud he is of Dale's fighting spirit. He wants to keep sharpening that spirit for future battles. With their discussion concluded, the subjugation mission is declared a resounding success. The group returns to the castle shortly after. The tale of a young boy charging into battle to save a knight quickly spreads among the people. These claims are now being wildly exaggerated, fueling unrealistic expectations. For example, people believe Dale single-handedly slew 1,000 orcs. He couldn't escape the embarrassment while walking among them, but at least it brought joy to his territory's people. More days passed as Dale's training relentlessly continued. In the training arena, when Lil Bro was spotted by the knights, they showered him with praise, making him even more flustered. Helmet just laughed and told the boy to accept it. With glee, they cheer. They pump their fists, dreaming of even greater power. Their fiery spirits clearly delight Dale. But then, suddenly, a maid arrives, announcing new guests from House Ohart. Our young hero thanks her, eager to meet a special guest. Let's talk about the prestigious House Ohart. It's a highly respected family, led by Patriarch Bardell, the legendary divine sword. He founded it right after the Unification War began. Patriarch Bardell rose to prominence alongside his house. Dale notices Helmet's sorrowful expression. His uncle was, in fact, trained by the divine sword himself and guided onto the path of knighthood. As they make their way to the throne room, the young master understands why his uncle is so uncomfortable. The Duke praises his son for diligently training, while the butler announces the guest's arrival. A blonde lady and her daughter enter with perfect poise. With no attendants in sight, Vanessa Ohart greets the Duke respectfully, but her bratty little daughter is inexplicably furious. She probably needs a medieval Snickers to fix that attitude. Charlotte then causes the worst scene imaginable, directly disrespecting the Duke by questioning why her mother would bow to these people. This is the absolute height of disrespect, but Duke Saxon pays it no mind. Instead, he asks his son to escort Charlotte around the castle for a bit, a duty the young master is eager to fulfill. Our sweet, innocent boy offers her his hand, but this blonde mini Karen of a kid is so angry she swats his hand away. In fact, she shoves it so hard that Dale's palm swells up red. Duke Saxon is furious, and Lady Elena is horrified, while the realization finally dawns on Charlotte's face. But instead of backing down, this kid calls them a bunch of shameless nobles, digging an even deeper grave for herself. Vanessa scolds her daughter, demanding that she apologize immediately. But Charlotte rages off, storming out of the room. Vanessa is left with a truly humiliating display, as she tries to make up for her daughter's blatant disrespect. Lady Elena asks what could have caused her to be this way. Turns out that Count Brandenburgg, yes, the same dude who screwed over Hansung, was recently assigned to their territory. This guy is revered as the Holy Knight of the Empire, so it's impossible not to have heard of him. But many also notoriously dub him the Pig King. And why? This scoundrel wants to implant his seed into a skilled swordsman, all to engineer the perfect heir. Currently, this bastard's sights are set on Charlotte, even though she's just a child right now. This dude is a straight-up predator. Vanessa even highlights how this unholy knight actually tried to get his hands on her once before. The little girl is, understandably, traumatized, and though she wishes to protect her daughter, Vanessa is largely powerless. Her family has been eradicated, making her a fallen noble. In fact, she's here today to formally request Duke Saxon to make her a maid in his household, just so the filthy Brandenburgg can't seize her. Outside, in the training grounds, he finds Charlotte looking quite worked up. Dale treats her without a hint of rudeness, which surprisingly gets her to calm down a bit. She even asks about his hand, while the young master internalizes that he's just dealing with a kid. In the end, whipping out her sword in successive fashion, she points her blade at him. ordering Dale to have a match with her. This sudden invitation catches our boy completely off guard, making him realize this kid truly doesn't give a damn and just does whatever she wants. The young master doesn't really have an incentive to fight, but this young lady has heard a ton of rumors about the kid who saved a princess knight from the battlefield and slaughtered 1,000 orcs. She wants a taste of victory against a powerful foe like him, so she can be branded as the strongest in the empire. This way, she can prove to the world that her family doesn't need the help of the filthy Count Brandenburgg. The moment our boy heard his name, his expression shifted to sheer anger. How could he forget that bastard? That's the guy who backstabbed him and ended his life. It's clear to him that this girl harbors great distaste for the same enemy, which means there's a chance for them to become allies. However, before that alliance, our boy wants to humbly give this girl a reality check. He decides to go pick up a short blade from the barrel and mock Charlotte for being a mere child. Fueled by this insult, he's completely riled her up, pushing her to go all out. A fierce Charlotte blitzes him with incredible speed, but our boy inevitably blocks her sword. She stabs at him relentlessly, pouring every ounce of her strength into it. Meanwhile, Dale shows only mild signs of struggle, all while analyzing Charlotte's fighting pattern. She's capable of deflection, with a sharp wrist for lightning-fast reflexes. She's so impressive, an aura trails behind her movements. Charlotte wields a rapier much too large for her frame, but thanks to her aura, she wields it with incredible swiftness. Mages generate mana by cycling it around their hearts. Knights, however, are different. They use their aura to enhance their body's physical capabilities. Charlotte is currently doing just that, attempting to overwhelm him. Her raw talent as a knight shines clear as day. She even performs a pointed strike that momentarily stuns Dale. Despite his successful dodge, the fight still pushes on. This bratty young child is confident of her victory. But let's take a peek into her life, shall we? Moments after she was born, her father had already passed, Vanessa. Her mother always told her tales of his heroic achievements. She wanted to hone her as the proud daughter of the Almighty. The divine sword Charlotte began training relentlessly from a young age. Even after her family's collapse, she refused to give up. But despite her fierce resolve and impenetrable determination, she's consistently countered by the boy right in front of her. Dale's perfect defense personally offends her, to the point she overextends, making a crucial mistake. The young master thwarts her weapon, launching it high into the air. As the battle comes to a decisive end, the mighty daughter of the divine sword suffers her first ever defeat, questioning how she could have possibly lost. She weeps in utter failure, while the boy in front of her imparts an important lesson. Charlotte's biggest mistake? It's clinging to the identity of her father. Dale brutally gives her the reality check he'd envisioned, by emphasizing just how weak her current strength truly is. In fact, Count Brandenburgg is far stronger than even the current Dale. Defeated and lost, Charlotte begs for an answer on her next move. It is here that Dale declares himself the protector of House Ohart. From now on, assuring the young lady that House Saxon will protect her until she's strong enough to defeat Brandenburgg herself. A confused Charlotte questions why he would do so much for her. The young master expresses that she's worth the cause, as long as she swears loyalty to their house. Wiping her tears, she accepts the offer and kneels before the young master, promising to serve him as a knight. Even though it seems like a vain and childish promise, Dale could sense her dominating resolve behind it, and understood her true feelings. Afterwards, our boy went to his pops to formally inform him of Charlotte's installation as the new maid. The Duke is surprised to see how the girl completely flipped her attitude. Dale simply tells his father of a promise the two made between each other, a vow to protect House Ohart. This revelation annoys the Duke, and he asks if Dale used their family name out of pity. The young master strongly denies such an idea, and reveals an even greater ideal. He wants to obtain the talent of the divine sword's legacy. That oath is going to create a new divine sword that will one day become a powerful strength for their family. Impressed by this response, the Duke praises his son. Dale is happy to have made a new ally, and believes it will even hurt Count PDF File's ego. Speaking of that filthy man, he's in Malberg, roaring at the top of his lungs. After hearing the news of the girl's newest association, the unholy knight is furious that his useless men couldn't even capture a single girl. Even after sending assassins, It turns out their men were killed even before invading House Saxon. This means that Charlotte must have killed them. Enraged, Count Brandenburgg reaches for his sword, embracing his weapon. He relives the joyous memory of betraying Han Sung on the battlefield. Like a true psychopath, this man is literally horny for his sword, calling it his fiancée and shit. Might as well shove it up his ass at this point. He has a mad obsession with his weapon, being inherited by a competent heir. Count Brandenburgg orders his servant to contact the Thieves' Guild, intending to send even more men to House Saxon's territory. He's even ready to pay them fat checks, just to get his hands on Charlotte. 1 week passed since Charlotte swore her oath of servitude. She trained relentlessly, pushing herself to become a proper maid. She also sparred with our boy to hone her physical combat skills. Helmet watched on as they faced off in another intense duel. Dale wielded a short sword, immediately pressing the offensive, this time forcing her to swiftly deflect his blows. The swordmaster noticed she was quickly being overwhelmed, but he'd never imagined a duel this fierce could take place between two mere kids, though they weren't yet on par with actual knights. Their sheer killing intent coupled with lightning-fast reflexes was evident. The young master suddenly grabs his cloak, dramatically unveiling his weapon. It's an interesting move, one that completely catches Charlotte off guard. She actually tries to stab him right then and there, but Helmet intervenes, immediately halting the fight. Though the knight praises the little girl for her effort, she refuses empty compliments and demands immediate feedback. Helmet starts by asking a crucial question. Does the young lady truly understand the essence of her weapon? So far, she'd only been using it as a simple thrusting tool, but in reality, its true power. The true essence of her weapon relies on impressive footwork. Dale was simultaneously dodging her attacks, while closing in the moment she sensed she was getting overwhelmed. Charlotte should have widened the distance between them. The problem with a rapier's defense is its rapid loss of precision, and from the way things unfortunately seem, Helmet reveals Charlotte will have to rework her entire fighting style. Even her posture and stance are full of glaring openings. The girl pouts. She's never really had a proper teacher before, so no one could correct her mistakes until now. Helmet even teases her, calling her style an odd way of thrusting. Charlotte is utterly humiliated while he simply laughs, assuring the young lady that he's just teasing her. Meanwhile, our boy wonders just how much she'll improve. After being coached by one of the greatest sword masters around, he thinks it's entirely possible for Charlotte to completely blow him out of the water at some point in the future. Next, we deep dive into his magic training. Dale understands that constructing more mana circles follows the same process, except there's one massive problem. It takes a literal shitload of time, even decades, to see any improvement. But here's the shocking part. Sophia learns that the prodigious young master has already completed his second circle. This world measures mana circles by RPM, or rotations per minute. An ordinary mage has around 300 revolutions per minute. But for our boy, his first circle alone burst at 2,000 revolutions per minute, and his second is currently at 400. A new circle always demands a minimum of 300 revolutions per minute, and that means Dale already meets the requirements to tap into the third circle, excited to test out a new experiment. After reaching the second circle, the young master whips out his ice bullet technique. First, he boosts its strength by increasing its hardness. Next, he takes aim at the nearest tree, boosting the bullet's rotation to increase its speed. And just like that, the first armor-piercing bullet is unleashed, with so much destructive power that it obliterates a tree. The young master is stunned by his own improvement, finding it much easier to control the bullet. His teacher Sophia is proud of his talent, while Dale fully credits her for her guidance. She even contemplates how this same genius boy is full of wonders, and always uses his power for the right cause. His strength terrifies her to some extent, but ultimately, Sophia trusts him on a very deep level, embracing him as her proud student. Dale is caught off guard and finds it really uncomfortable, given that he was a grown-ass man in his previous life. Later that same day, our boy finds himself a little worked up because of his teacher. He even starts wondering if Sophia truly sees him as just a child. And I mean, that is the obvious explanation. Our guy, warding off irrelevant thoughts. The young master focuses on his training. Our boy uses Sung Jinwoo's iconic Arise to call forth a wall of ice. Next, he tests its defensive integrity by throwing a shotgun-style ice bullet barrage. Each bullet bounces right off the wall, finding its way back to Dale. The young master uses his barrier to defend and wonders if he should experiment with a slug shot next time. Suddenly, Charlotte pops out of the woods. She's been meaning to find him and recently began practicing her fancy footwork under Helmet's guidance. The young master can see that she really enjoys learning swordsmanship, but Charlotte has actually come here for a different purpose. With a flushed face, she begins apologizing for her rude behavior. She has done some reflection and realized how terribly she acted. But instead of cutting her some slack, our boy straight up agrees that she's a rude brat, crushing her ego at the same time. He forgives her and requests that she treat him casually like before. A little while later, they're hanging out. Charlotte passionately talks about the cool weather, enjoying the wind during training. Our boy feels happy. Finally, he's found someone who truly understands him. Hilariously, our boy's parents are already playing matchmaker for these two. While all this unfolds, Lady Elena plans to keep a very watchful eye on them. She even hopes to eventually help Dale realize his true feelings. Next, we find ourselves on the outskirts of the dukedom. Elena teaches her son what it truly means to help the less fortunate. Each week, she faithfully provides food to the impoverished and assists them in finding work. Dale and Charlotte have started joining her this year. Suddenly, Charlotte spots a weeping boy desperately begging for help. The boy's mother is in danger, and he frantically pleads with Charlotte to intervene. Things are looking seriously grim. Our boy immediately senses they're being led straight into a trap. They aren't even accompanied by any knights. And this alleyway is far from safe. The sketchiest part? The child refused to contact an adult, and instead dragged Charlotte along. Dale sharply observes his surroundings. He spots a figure from the Thieves' Guild perched on a rooftop. Instantly, our boy realizes they're being cornered by Brandenburg's men. The same kid who cried wolf suddenly acts like he needs to go fetch his mom. He vanishes, and a group of suspicious men suddenly pop out to capture the kids. They don't care a lick about the boy. Their sole interest is kidnapping Charlotte. But our boy isn't backing down from a fight. While this stinky, green-haired slime ball threatens his life, the young master boldly declares his promise to protect the daughter of the Ohart family, especially against these despicable vermin. Their leader scoffs at his childish chivalry and leaves his men to personally teach the arrogant kid a lesson. They believe Dale needs a harsh lesson in pain to show him what the real world truly looks like. Charlotte immediately senses grave danger, especially since she doesn't even have a sword on her. But the young master assures her the situation is totally under control. In fact, it's the perfect chance for him to test his top-grade artifacts. Newest technique. 2 men pounce at them from the front, 2 more from behind. But before they can even initiate their first assault, tendrils of black begin to swiftly wrap around their bodies. They furiously slash at them, cutting past the shadows while Dale calmly observes. The thug leader is the only one who truly catches on and roars at his stupid men to dodge instead. Dale is genuinely impressed by this guy's keen observation skills. They even wonder if he holds a high rank. They swiftly bolt away, but the one dude who tried to slash it ends up being brutally slaughtered. This is the newest technique Dale acquired. After reaching the second circle, it creates parasitic shadows around his victims, shadows that move on their own, invading their bodies. For example, the guy who is caught is literally devoured. His soul is drained, transforming him into a creature of the dark. This dude's 10 times scarier than the freaking Wolverine and has the size of the Hulk. I'd be quitting my job right now if I were these guys. The undead monster is absolutely starving for breakfast, while his former friends express absolute horror. The leader sends them marching to their deaths, commanding them to kill the beast. Even if it's the young master of the Saxon dukedom, 1 blade would be enough to kill him, right? So, he lunges right in, determined to corner the boy, intimidating him by prancing around like a flamboyant pigeon. This bro thinks he's in Naruto, throwing his kunai, acting like they're unstoppable. Dale casually blocks them all and uses a 12-gauge buckshot to blast this guy. I mean, this dude is literally a cheese slice full of holes now. Now Charlotte watches our boy absolutely dog-walk these amateurs. His pet undead monster is also wreaking havoc. By the way, the earlier attack was more of an exaggeration. If anything, this dude didn't really become a cheese slice, thanks to his thick aura. Dude still thinks he's got a chance, so he charges up ahead. The result? Instant Kit Kat treatment, just like Gojo Satoru. Dale walks up to his new pet, who literally devours a human body. Our boy checks on Charlotte, wondering if she's doing okay. It seems one of the thugs survived the onslaught, while the rest of his friends have been sliced to bits. Even while our boy is tending to Charlotte's condition, he casually uses an ice bullet to tear this dude's leg right off. Bro's never gonna need a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Terrified, the thug even offers to reveal everything about their group's intentions. But Dale is one cold-blooded murderer. He puts a bullet in this guy's head and expresses complete disregard. Bro is handling things all-American style at this point. The young master explains how. These people are the enemies of their house, the ones responsible for enacting terror. However, he promises her that he will protect Charlotte, and wonders if she is afraid. Though she admits to being scared, she's also thrilled that our boy fought so valiantly to protect her. Ever since they exchanged that sacred vow, she found herself utterly convinced. She now desired to protect his home, just as he had sworn to protect hers. Charlotte yearned to grow even stronger, all for the young master's sake. Her heartfelt words left him utterly speechless. You see, the true reason our boy took her in is deeply entwined with a dark future from 24 years ago. Hansung stood before her father during his final moments, but now he aims to rectify the past by keeping her close. Charlotte took his hand, forming a connection, even deeper than Dale had initially hoped for. As for Count Brandenburgg over here, this guy is utterly seething at the news of their failure. He has personally received a letter from the Duke of Saxon, with the clear intention of a personal chat with the man. The Duke's words already imply he knows about this scumbag's insidious schemes. Brandenburgg knows that even with his position as the Divine Sword, he's simply incapable of refusing such an offer. Days passed, and we arrive at the Duke's castle. Brandenburgg has arrived, his face etched with more worry than ever before. Duke Saxon taunts him, humbly welcoming them to his castle. The Holy Sword feigns sincerity, assuring the Duke it's his immense pleasure to arrive. But this clown is already seething at the sight of Charlotte and Dale. The Holy Knight then starts by diving into the recent attempt at a kidnapping. He laughs it off, acting as if it's a joke that things escalated this far, and even pretending his name was falsely accused in the matter. The most powerful necromancer of their era answers with a pulsing, suffocating veil of shadows. The pressure utterly overwhelms the Holy Knight and his men. It's only thanks to his mighty sword that this guy is able to block the devastating attack. But his men literally evaporate into sheer dust, suffering the most brutal, agonizing death. Count Brandenburgg is utterly astonished by the Duke's immense powers. His face drops in terror, realizing he messed around too much, and is about to find out. Duke Saxon used an advanced, dark magic spell to vaporize those expert knights. Just now, the Holy Sword drops all formalities and begs for mercy, but the Duke commands him to get down on his knees. Brandenburgg tries to talk sense into the Duke, emphasizing just how forceful and unyielding his actions are. But Dale's papa is royally pissed and commands him to get down. He's even ready to unleash yet another devastating spell, should the Count defy his order. The sheer force of the Duke's power is enough to bring the Holy Sword to his knees. Not even he expected things to get this ugly. Like the good boy he is, he kneels before the Duke, who states this is his only chance to make amends. He then warns the Holy Knight that if he ever dares to harm the children of House Saxon again, he will personally eradicate every last member of his house. After a thorough psychological beatdown and public humiliation, the Duke threateningly tells Brandenburgg to rest up for a while. The Holy Knight refuses this offer, claiming he has urgent matters to attend to and must immediately leave the territory. The Duke condescendingly bids him farewell, as the pathetic knight disgracefully makes his exit. Dale wears the widest smile on his face. He's loving his pops humbling this fucker's ego for once. However, this exact moment is destined to create a butterfly effect that will soon spiral out of control. Throughout the Empire, things always start small, but then the fire spreads and everyone will burn. In that pivotal moment, an older Dale will ultimately have to defeat the Holy Swordsman himself. The news of the Holy Swordsman's humiliation before the Duke of Noir will shake the very foundations of the world. Dale's father suddenly unveils a gruesome pile of bodies. They're all corpses from the fight against Dale. Sophia is struck with sheer horror. After witnessing how mercilessly a mere child slaughtered these men, they were riddled with holes, their organs utterly destroyed, and a moment of doubt washed over her. She feared that her teachings might have accidentally created a monster. The Duke of Noir understands his son requires proper guidance and wisdom to guide him in the right direction. For this crucial role, he formally appoints her as chief advisor. In other words, She's being given an official position within House Saxon, instead of merely acting as the boy's teacher. Dale's growth is reliant on how much Sophia can mold him. Even the Duke understands he can't perfectly nurture his son alone. It will only be thanks to her help that the boy will reach his true potential. Sophia understands the crucial role she has to play, and this time intends to learn how Dale truly sees the world, which will inform her what to do next. More time passed, and eventually, the young master turned 10. Last year's celebration was different, however, because this time, noteworthy nobles from the emperor's court came to attend as well. The most proper guest of all was an established figure, Marquis Eurus, who expressed keen interest in our boy. Let's go back a few minutes. The nobles all around were impressed by House Saxon's hosting event. The most important nobles of the capital belonged to the emperor's faction. These people influenced all the important decisions running across the empire. It was crystal clear to our boy why these cunning individuals came to his birthday. It was actually to warn House Saxon, a subtle message from the royal family that they were watching, and that they wouldn't ignore what happened to Count Brandenburgg. While the guy standing in front of our boy, Marquis Eurus, is actually chosen for the role of the messenger. He's the one leading the charge on this secret mission, and comfortably makes himself known to the Duke's son. Lord Crimson is actually the master of the Red Tower, known for his dominating power. The Tower specializes in their philosophy of strongly ruling everything. That's also why they became ruthless executioners, who had extreme ambition even in his past life. Hansung ended up being tortured by the mages of the Red Tower. At some point, Marquis Eurus greets the genius prodigy. That has become the talk of the empire. He even highlights the exaggerated claims of the young master. Wiping out 1,000 orcs, Dale takes all these compliments with a smile and wishes the Marquis to enjoy the evening. Shortly afterwards, he finds himself outside to catch some air. Like always, Bro is a triple S-class introvert who hates being around people. In fact, he's more interested in training right now than celebrating. Then, there's the risk of people discovering her identity on his birthday, especially with questionable nobles already spying on him. Suddenly, the young master hears a woman scream. He also hears a man attempting to take advantage of the maid. Acting quickly, this guy kicks off to find out what happened. Turns out a poor maid of House Saxon is being assaulted by a fat fuck who can't keep his hands to himself. This scumbag has the gall to pull a knife on her, threatening to take her life. There's no one around to help the maid either, especially when they're all busy enjoying the party. Dale arrives just in time and catches the creep red-handed. The young master's unexpected arrival terrifies this red-haired, fat-ass. The kid walks up to the snarky noble, who has the gall to offer a learning experience to the Duke's son. He plans to use the maid as a live demonstration to show the kid how adults make love. Dale is absolutely furious, pointing a condemning finger at the noble. He assures his maid she'll be out of this nightmare soon, and charges his magic circle with potent mana. The young master knows this world adheres to a strict, unyielding ranking hierarchy, so no one could ever imagine him initiating an attack. Dale unleashes the ice bullet, which merely grazes past the noble's face, scaring him enough to send him tumbling onto his rear. But even with this hierarchy, the young master refuses to abandon his morals, even though he just assaulted a noble serving the emperor, leaving a rather nice scratch on his face. The noble confronts the young master's reckless actions, but Dale is done playing logic games with this pig, just like the animal he is. He commands the man to drop to his knees. The noble tries to defy the order, only for our boy to roar it once more. Like father, like son. Dale humiliates the noble, ordering him to his knees, and apologizes to the maid. The scumbag is stunned by the boy's audacity, and politely reminds the young master he's a representative of the empire. He even insults the maid, calling her a mere lowborn, claiming his kneeling would be an insult to the emperor. Dale corners him and sarcastically asks if the emperor loves fiddling with women in his courtroom as well. The remark is so insulting that the noble shouts back at Dale. Unexpectedly, the Duke arrives, along with other nobles. Lord Crimson is entertained by the sight and drops a sarcastic commentary, just to get on the Duke's nerves. Dale's father erupts in anger. Roaring at his son, the young master announces that this man assaulted the maid of House Saxon. It's especially disappointing that his father doesn't even side with his own son here, upholding Lord Petro's respect by siding with him instead. Dale continues to threaten the snotty noble, ordering him to stay down. It seems he doesn't care about his father's commands. Instead, the boy stands up to the Duke, exclaiming how their guests are supposed to act with integrity, even those from the royal court. But this red-haired creepshow, instead, broke all vows to assault a maid, bringing grave disrespect upon House Saxon. That's why he couldn't just let this scumbag escape so easily. Hearing all of this, Lord Crimson breaks his silence. To everyone's surprise, he sides with the young master, stating it's shameful to assault a lowborn maid, and all this just to punish Petro. Marciurus ignites a powerful flame, declaring he'll grill him alive. The helpless insect makes a desperate run for it, desperately begging for mercy. But the master of the Red Magic Tower is a truly ruthless man, and his relentless flames spare no one. The flames surge towards Petro, scorching his body as he writhes in agony. The noble is utterly incinerated to ashes. Meanwhile, Urus commends the boy for speaking the truth, believing it's the only way to expunge the royal family's moles. Lord Crimson expresses a keen interest in Dale's future, but it only highlights just how threatening this man's strength truly is, given enough time. Eventually, the commotion faded, and the royal court nobles dispersed from House Saxon. As more time passed, Eve eventually came to wake the young master from his sleep. He thanked her for her help, but Eve seemed flustered, her face showing a hint of sadness. Dale asks her what's bothering her, which prompts the maid to thank him for his bravery. She feels truly grateful to serve him, but she has more to say than just that, and the young master can clearly see it on her face. Thanks to his experience from dealing with two worlds, he can tell when people are hiding something. Dale casually thanks her, recalling that as the eldest son of the family, he must always act with integrity, so long as it serves his ultimate goal of destroying the Empire. By the way, his father quickly summoned him to his office. He's starting to feel uneasy about Dale's recent behavior and is questioning the boy's decisions. In an effort to understand the Duke, Dale asks him what's troubling him. He then whips out an intriguing fact, revealing how the hero, who came from the other world, ended up suffering death alongside Bardell. If that hadn't happened, it was clear the next hero would have emerged from House Saxon. This fact literally jolts his father into a state of shock, and he vehemently denies such a claim. Dale boldly states his conviction, reflecting that he actually heard about the Empire's scheme against House Saxon. In his previous life, the Empire intentionally backstabbed Hansung, the hero, knowing he'd become a dangerous obstacle if he ever turned against them. Even after Hansung decisively crushed the Demon King and finally brought peace to the entire world, the Empire utterly failed to eradicate the Demon King's domain. Instead of wiping out that cursed land, they started turning it into their own private territory. They even demanded sacrifices from the Saxon Duchy's cavalry to aid their twisted plans, then offered the land to the Duke. Their troubles will never truly end, especially since that land's inherent evil remains uncleansed. What's worse, while their house's reputation is revered, others with an evil perception brand them the House of Darkness. The Empire callously abandoned their own hero and will eventually move against House Saxon to crush any threats. Dale's sudden revelation about the Empire ditching their hero stuns his father. Dale claims these are merely his deductions, but he's actually speaking from the painful truth he experienced. In official records, though, it's written that the hero fell while battling the divine sword. The Duke is absolutely flabbergasted by the boy's vast knowledge, because only a select few know the truth about the hero's demise. Dale pushes his theory. If he's correct, the Empire plans to screw them over eventually, too. They're an oppressive force that systematically devours weaker nations. The 10-year-old's profound words leave his father completely speechless. Seeking more of the boy's insight, he asks the kid for his advice on their next critical move. Dale points out one undeniable fact. House Saxon can never cooperate or coexist with the Empire. So, the only logical conclusion is this: annihilate the Empire before it utterly annihilates their house. Now that's a bombshell his pops definitely wasn't expecting. Hearing such incredibly provocative words, the Duke's tone instantly turns gravely serious, questioning if the boy truly understands the sheer weight of his audacious suggestion. The young master clarifies he isn't calling for an immediate, rebellious army to conquer the Empire right now. Instead, he's planning 10 years into the future. The current state of various resistance groups is already alarming enough for the Empire. Then there are powerful vassals like the Duke himself, who already fear the Empire backstabbing their own house. Add to that the corrupt economy and the rampant rise of bandits. And eventually, in 10 years' time, there will be enough discontent groups and forces that would readily ally themselves with House Saxon in a combined, unstoppable effort to shatter the empire. Dale meticulously discussed every single detail of his plan with his father for hours, until the sun finally dipped below the horizon. He pressed the enigmatic Duke for his thoughts. At first, the Duke was utterly speechless. But then, the Duke erupted into laughter. He let out the most genuine, unburdened laugh, confessing how immensely proud he was of his son's talents. It was clear his son possessed insight into perspectives, even ones the Duke himself couldn't grasp. The Duke now saw the boy as more than just his son. In fact, he officially declared him his one true heir, the man destined to someday lead House Saxon in his stead. Dale, too, swelled with pride over his achievements. He had worked long and hard for this very moment. The future of manipulating the house to his will was now finally within his grasp. The boy's father gave him full permission to speak his mind, allowing him to influence all family decisions. Dale realized he now stood shoulder to shoulder with his pops. His first command? A request to take on the tower trial in Necropolis. Make no mistake, this is no easy feat. It's a grueling challenge that determines a person's rank among other competing mages and the formidable guardians of the magic tower. Defeating higher-level guardians raises your rank even further, until eventually you can earn the rank of an elder of the tower. Those who overcome it and reach the very pinnacle are granted the title of Magic Tower Master. The Duke agrees to this decision, but he fears greatly for his son's life. The tower is fraught with peril for anyone who challenges it, especially since Dale hasn't completed his third circle yet. The boy speaks with conviction, promising to soon master the third circle. Normally, this is only obtainable for a mage in their 20s, even for a genius prodigy like Dale. It won't be an easy task, but the kid is adamant about this decision, all for the sake of his house. First, he will conquer the tower trial and demonstrate his strength in front of the world. Through this achievement, nobody will be able to question Dale's authority as the true heir to the house. The Duke realizes his son is not only ambitious, but cunning, wanting to cultivate an impressive reputation before the world. Smiling, he entrusts Dale with his full judgment, bringing a joyful expression to our boy's face. A few days after this discussion, we arrive in the ominous city of death. Upon arrival in the city, the Duke of Saxon exits his carriage, greeted respectfully by all onlookers. Alongside him stands his very own mini-version, Dale, who quickly realizes he's about to get utterly thrashed, thanks to this incredibly tough challenge. The crowd is already showering praises upon the Duke's son, the young master with unmatched potential across the entire empire. Yet, some are squabbling over the boy, openly questioning his true capabilities. They even scoff, calling Dale's abilities an utter joke, refusing to believe this kid can stand alongside the knights of the mighty cavalry Velik. The top graduate of the academy certainly acts tough and is a clear favorite to win this trial. Eris warmly welcomes the Duke and his son, acting as an escort and an esteemed elder of the tower. She manages all administrative duties while Noir is away. Dale's father, the Duke, tells our boy that Eris will be looking after him. Throughout the trial, Dale stays by Eris's side as he learns about the 59 other academy graduates who are also about to face this grueling trial. Alongside him, she dramatically unveils the arena, showing him the formidable candidates who will be his competitors. It's a colossal coliseum packed with truly impressive candidates. Next, Eris steps up to formally greet all the contestants. As host, it's her crucial role to explain the trial's first tier, beginning by detailing the purpose of the life necklace. The trial will essentially be a fierce battle royale, where vital life points will determine all winners and losers. The necklace will shield the wearer from a spell's true, fatal damage. But if a candidate is properly struck by an opponent's spell, the necklace will instantly activate its protective shield, essentially confirming that candidate's elimination. In other words, one solid hit, and your opponent is knocked out of the tournament. The attacker who successfully lands the strike gains a new point for their own necklace. Anyone with 3 or more points will advance to the next tier of the tower. Finally, no artifacts are permitted for use during this trial, meaning our boy can't cheat his way through using his all-powerful cloak. Dale contemplates these rules and realizes it's the perfect way to take out the trash contestants. In the first round, his eyes drift to his side, where a group of candidates are already calling him a monster for achieving the third circle. At the astonishingly young age of 10, they've already set their sights on eliminating the young master first. Some of them even openly mock him, wondering if they're even allowed to abuse a child during the tournament. As fellow competitors in the same tournament, they will certainly have to eliminate him. Dale simply smiles. Our boy is ready to catch all that smoke. The trial officially kicks off. Those closest to Dale instantly zero in on our boy. One candidate erupts with a dark spell and resurrects a horrifying corpse right before him. The other candidates quickly follow suit, all commanding their own reanimated corpses to attack. An entire platoon of them now charges forward. Young Master Dale calmly awaits the first strike. As one of the zombies slashes at him with its sword, the attack is shockingly deflected, all thanks to our boy's own conjured undead. What's more, this thing even sports iconic Wolverine claws. This undead creature is massive and far fiercer than the rest. Its aura crackles with the water attribute, instantly freezing the surrounding monsters solid. And it's at this moment these losers realize they're actually dealing with a duel. Elemental Mage. Dale's monster slashes at the frozen undead soldier. One opponent tries to target Dale from his blind spot, only for Dale's undead to step right in and block the damage. Thanks to the thick ice armor on its back, there's absolutely no damage incurred. Retaliating, Dale's soldier smashes another monster with a clean hit. The same loser who was trash-talking earlier suddenly starts screaming that our boy's a cheater for using water magic. This so-called top graduate argues that only necromancy magic is permitted in this competition. A confident Dale retorts that there's nothing in the rulebooks that prevents him from strengthening his monsters with other magical elements. And so far, no one has disqualified him, which means Eris has clearly allowed his usage of the water attribute. Cornered by Dale's logic, the loser and his friends send all three of their undead soldiers to tackle Dale at once. With so many monsters attacking at once, their strategy is to overwhelm the young master with sheer numbers. Unfortunately, Dale can't use a single artifact in this situation, so he quickly considers his options before the zombies tear him to shreds. Using his one and final method, the young master launches himself directly into battle, dashing past all three zombies in a blur. Next, he aims for another one with a sword, and quickly dodges its first attack. With the blade pinned, Dale imbues his punch with dark magic, and hammers a powerful fist against the creature's arm. This helps him free the sword, and then effortlessly dice the creature into pieces. The losers are utterly speechless. They just watched a mere brat slice towering giants apart like nothing. Dale even reinforced his bone sword, drastically boosting its durability. Wielding this newly powered and upgraded weapon, he sets his sights on his next target. The undead soldier smashes the ground, but narrowly misses the young master, who pounces straight up for an aerial descent, giving it everything he's got. Dale absolutely shish kebabs this guy. You guys should see the look on this loser's face, who is utterly humiliated after his soldiers were wiped out. With the soldiers gone, Dale easily dashes up to the candidates and lands clean hits on all of them. Finally, it's the blonde punk left cornered by a child, who isn't just a dual mage, but also a supremely capable swordsman. Our boy takes great joy in raising his sword, moments away from striking him down. This guy even starts begging the young master to spare him, but our boy frankly couldn't care less, especially when he can kill him without truly killing him. In the trial, the sword smacks his head and leaves it comically swelled up. With the arena cleared, Dale eradicates every single combatant and achieves 60 life points, all on his own, eyeing the audience. He hopes they'll watch his every move as he dominates the trial. The second floor's objective is to defeat the guardian creatures, called the flesh golems. These things are nasty, towering over contestants with a durable build. Normally at this level, the survivors cooperate to beat the boss on the second floor. Except, there's one big problem. Our boy eliminated them all. Now he's got a one-on-one fight with Gorlock the Destroyer. Different from the rules of the first stage, our boy can openly use all forms of magic. At this level, he still won't be able to use an artifact, but that won't be needed anyway. The golem is moments away from smashing our boy, while the young master intends to test the limits of the third circle he recently acquired. One massive fist obliterates the arena, and the ugly golem smirks, confident in its victory. But then, a horrifying realization dawns on it. as purplish flames burn its hands. The golem looks utterly confused, while the 10-year-old young master unleashes his newest ability, accelerated decay. The Duke and Heiress are both surprised by Dale's decision. For instance, he could have easily destroyed the golem's arm, instead of letting it rot. Internalizing his thoughts, Dale reveals that when he fought monsters as the hero Hansung, his main strategy to defeat them was biochemical warfare. Soon, the creature is nothing but a disgusting puddle of wasted remains. The golem is completely obliterated with just a single touch. That very same biochemical warfare now becomes a crucial weapon in his black magic arsenal. And so, Dale absolutely blitzes through the exam, crushing all 10 tiers and setting a brand new record. He's then granted a sweet 4-day rest period before the 11th trial. Meanwhile, all the other candidates who failed the competition are forced to undergo a grueling retrial procedure. 59 participants get one more shot to earn their spot back. That very same night, Dale finds himself lost in thought, staring at the fountain, when his teacher, Sophia, appears out of nowhere to congratulate him on his superb performance. He humbly credits her for all his success, a confession that fills her with immense pride. But brace yourselves for the sheer audacity of this kid. He actually asks his own damn teacher on a date. The elf is clearly flustered by our boy's bold move. In reality, he just wanted to go to the city festival with her. Sophia, surprisingly, agrees to his request, while he practically bounces with joy. Her cheeks are flushed pink from how he asked her out. She's still wondering if the little boy even knows what a date entails. But in reality, our boy is internally cackling, knowing he totally messed with her head. Let's head over to the festival in the City of the Dead. Sophia and Dale share a quiet stroll. The young master appears perfectly fine, even after his arduous, grueling trial. He's clearly relishing the 3 days of rest he earned too. After walking in comfortable silence for a bit, Dale and Sophia both gaze up at the gorgeous full moon. In Japanese culture, calling the moon beautiful is actually seen as a subtle way of saying, "I love you." The young master struggles to spark a conversation with his teacher, yet, surprisingly, he finds himself completely at ease. He has always felt incredibly safe in her presence. She's the only person who truly trusted him from the very beginning. Some parts of him even yearn to draw closer to her. Well, this is definitely taking an unexpected turn. But wow, this is certainly going in an unexpected direction. Before Dale finally broke past his third circle stage, he contemplated his teacher's guidance to confront his inner world. The only way to truly surpass his limits was to push beyond the boundaries of mana overflow. For his second circle, it's only after enduring the excruciating pain of mana rampage that he would finally unlock the power of the third. But that also became a massive hurdle for our boy. He always remembered the bitter sting of betrayal, only to find himself transported to an empty space of frozen white. Hansung was experiencing his true inner world through meditation, a world of profound realization where he needed to confront his fears. His inner world had always lacked substance, a hollow domain where no one could help him. Sophia became the first person to truly connect with him on a much deeper level. Bro is straight up calling her the light of his world. 10-year-old Riz is going absolutely crazy over here. In a shocking turn of events, Dale confesses his feelings for his master. Yeah, unlike the whole dramatic mess, where protagonists take a gazillion years to confess their feelings, this kid did it in a single chapter. Sophia is seriously frightened by the implications of his words, but this boy is going all the way. Bro is repeating his words, emphasizing that he truly likes her in every way. The elf takes it as an act of endearment and embraces him. It's the love of a student for his teacher, so she returns his feelings in kind. It's funny because, inside his head, our boy is actually loving the cheat codes of his second life. As more days passed, the rest period subsided. Dale arrived at the 11th trial, huffing and puffing. The truly hilarious part is that this man actually meant it when he said he loves her, in an actual, romantic way. It pisses him off that she took it as a childish confession. Dale confronts the trial, leaving his love life for later. He's in a one-on-one matchup. This time, the young master's opponent is a third circle mage, Albert Rosenheim, and he isn't planning on pulling any breaks. Not for a mere kid. The best part about this stage is that it allows the use of artifacts, even mage strategies. The necklace won't be guaranteeing anyone's safety this time either, with all restrictions gone. Our boy is planning to curb stomp any person who stands before him. The duel begins, and the moment it does, Albert detonates a point-blank explosion. He reminds the young master that he isn't an amateur, like all the others he faced. His next attack is called the Dark Arrow, which actually reminds me of Gilgamesh's Gate of Babylon. From the Fate franchise, our boy isn't scathed, by the way, all thanks to his fancy cloak. But these arrows might pose a real problem. Albert unleashes those arrows like explosive scatter bombs, absolutely obliterating the arena while Dale skillfully leaps away, dodging every single one, and gaining enough distance to avoid any damage. The kicker is, this guy genuinely committed a clear violation of the rules the moment he launched his first attack, literally the second the duel began. Yet, the fact neither Eris nor any other judge intervened strongly suggests they're actually quite interested in truly gauging the young master's strength. And that's precisely why he absolutely loathes these mages. Albert revels in control, acting like a true Temujin Genghis, as he summons his terrifying undead creations. Bro is out here delivering an incredibly edgy monologue, acting like he just summoned some ancient, cosmic horror. Even Dale is visibly cringing at this dramatic announcement. But at the same time, this guy is absolutely no joke. His soldiers are lightning fast too, relentlessly cornering Dale with their swift attacks, posing as some edgy, third-rate, corny anime villain. Albert clearly enjoys forcing Dale into constant dodging, completely unable to retaliate. However, our boy brilliantly deploys some of his spells at the perfect moment, effortlessly knocking down all three soldiers simultaneously. An unimpressed Albert scoffs, mocking the kid for being trash, as he had already laid a secret trap within his zombies. A devastating spell known as the Death Explosion. The very same soldiers then combust in a blinding purple force, sending the young master flying through the air. This grown-ass man starts announcing his cringeworthy victory over a 10-year-old child, but his expectations are quickly humbled when he realizes Dale has completely vanished into thin air. Only his voice can now be heard. A voice that instantly dubs Albert pathetic for cheating against a child. Helpless, he frantically searches around, desperate to find him. Dale, however, simply melted into the shadows, reappearing right behind him, commenting on Albert's bewildered state. He even praises the third circle mage for his hidden sneak attack, an attack Dale narrowly escaped using his wraith transformation. Our boy confidently declares that such a sneaky tactic won't ever be enough to beat him. As for Albert, he's already ensnared in terrifying shadow vines, eager to feast on his flesh. They're practically begging for Dale's permission to devour him, while the young master watches on with a chilling smile on his face. The entity of darkness then manifests with enormous, gaping teeth after finally gaining permission to feast. Spectators watching are utterly struck with horror, as the creature viciously tangles Albert with its vines, before absolutely devouring his body. Albert, begging for his life, is finally released after his defeat. With Albert knocked out cold, Dale is officially crowned the victor of the duel. He strides from the arena, eager for his next challenger. His competitors are utterly petrified, surrendering on the spot. From round 3 onward, Dale scored effortless victories without lifting a finger. Every single one withdrew, save for one final showdown. During the trial, the young master perfected his command over the 3 magic circles. By the time he reached tier 20, he faced an opponent unlike any other. Finally, he encountered the most formidable undead on the planet, the Headless Knight. This creature is actually a construct of one of the tower's elders. It's a mighty being, far beyond anything our boy has ever encountered. In fact, it's rumored to be an opponent even the young master can't defeat. Dale, however, loves surprises and plot twists, so he patiently waits to witness the unfolding events. But his command over darkness, his absolute control over darkness intimidates everyone. That very Headless Knight, who dared to challenge him, is now kneeling, ready to serve its new master. Bro folded without even a hint of pressure. The young master watched as the knight wrestled with its inner conflict. A sword twisted in its chest as the knight instantly ended its own life. The fight is over. The knight literally couldn't bear to betray its previous master, so it took its own life. Dale is absolutely reveling in the present scene, so much so that he completely forgot about the reactions of those around him. These people were left utterly speechless. They had never seen a creature of darkness behave this way. This was undeniable proof that the 10-year-old possessed strength, comparable to an elder of the tower. Dale walks with pride, having proven himself in the eyes of everyone. While he's heading back, The rest of the people ponder his next move. If he returns from here, that means he won't be able to ascend any further. But the young master actually has no desire to pursue the end of the trial at all. He's already achieved his purpose, and going beyond this level would risk his life against terrifying monsters. The trial, therefore, eventually concluded. Upon his exit, Duke Saxon and his son walked among the people, showing supreme respect. The mages treated the boy like an equal, and thanks to his dominating results, Dale's very existence started to unite the northern territories. Meanwhile, in other parts of the dukedom, a lone knight is currently busy slaughtering monsters. The cavalry, too, is fighting with all its might. Our young master, right after completing the grueling tower trial, Dale was assigned to lead an orc extermination squad. This was considered a highly complex duty, and well beyond what any 10-year-old could typically handle. But this kid, he was never doubted. Not even once. They saw him as the rightful heir, the very one who'd reunite the strength of the North. Bro was out here acting like Jon Snow or something. After the mission, Dale returns to his father, revealing they had slaughtered nearly 150 orcs. As for casualties sustained, there were none, save for a few minor injuries. Baffled, the Duke questions if the boy used magic to aid them, but Dale staunchly denies any such usage. Instead, he credits the cavalry for their swordsmanship in defeating the monsters. Proud, the Duke praises his brilliant son, while Commander Helmet is seriously impressed by the 10-year-old's commanding ability to command groups of his own. In reality, Helmet is the one who actually educated the boy on military strategy and swordsmanship. So our young master was really learning from the best of the best here. Helmet realized it wouldn't be long until they fought proper territorial wars. The thought of these wars excited Dale, who just wanted a new challenge for himself. It's been a while, so let's revisit Charlotte's progress, who's now faster than ever in fighting our boy. The rapier wielder's precise strikes are even harder to dodge, but Dale capitalizes on every chance he gets to retaliate. She still defends properly, while Dale overwhelms her with a dizzying flurry of charges. Even amid his straightforward charge, her sudden, precise stab still surprises him. Charlotte's fighting abilities improved rapidly, but she still thought she was inferior to him. He is currently a third circle mage, someone who even crossed the 20th tier of the tower. People championed the young master's achievements, to the point even Charlotte got sick of hearing all about him. Dale laughs and assures the blonde young lady that her time will come. She's destined to become even stronger. In fact, she was already impressed by him compared to a normal 10-year-old. Charlotte, however, took it as a demeaning remark and didn't like the fact that he treated her like a kid. Hilariously, Dale confesses to her that he's already an adult, something she merely dismisses as a light joke. Post-training, our boy shares a table across from his uncle. Sir Helmet teaches him a new tactic, the hammer and anvil. During a battle between two opposing forces, the cavalry's objective is to tear through the enemy's formations, to corner them from every direction. In this case, the infantry defends against the attack. And the hammer and anvil tactic certainly earns its name, because it relies heavily on the cavalry's offensive ability. Meanwhile, Dale internalizes the striking similarities of war across both worlds, interrupting their lecture. The young master inquires about Charlotte's training progress. This prompts the knight to carefully consider his response. While she may not hold a candle to Dale's raw talent, on her own, she's still a formidable force, having firmly established her foundation. She's well on track to inherit aura cultivation. But there's one major concern lingering in all of this. Dale already knows precisely what his uncle is talking about. It has to do with Charlotte's distinctive rapier style, especially when compared to their cavalry's swordsmanship. You see, mages are meant to refine magic circles, while knights refine through cultivation techniques and aura. Mages establish magic towers. Knights forge orders by passing on their techniques. The Black Cavalry of Noir can be likened to war chariots. Their main combat style is to utterly crush enemy forces on any battlefield, relying heavily on raw, devastating firepower. And therein lies the issue. Because the girl's sword technique leans on speed rather than brute strength, her sword style is flexible and free-flowing. But thanks to her prodigious talent, she might make it among the ranks of the 7 sword masters, but won't progress much farther than that. She won't ever compare to the true caliber of the first sword, the strongest man to ever wield a sword. The divine knight Bardel himself, Charlotte's own father. Unfortunately, however, The lost art of the Sword of Blossom is no longer with them. It tragically vanished with the fall of the Night Nation during the war. Dale wonders if it has truly been utterly vanquished from this world. Following this discussion, the young master's training received a significant boost in difficulty. He now had to balance multiple, demanding responsibilities, and his reputation grew exponentially because of it. Finally, the crucial hour had come for him to demonstrate the fruits of his arduous progress. One day, the Duke receives an invitation for a looming territorial war. Baron Parker, a noble, aims to seize a portion of Duke Noir's mines. Dale knew this world's borders were incredibly fuzzy, unlike the clear-cut lines we're used to in the modern world. At the same time, the fact that a low-tier noble dared to challenge a high-ranking one seemed utterly insane to him, but there was a secret behind it. Count Brandenburgg had actually sided with Baron Parker's claim. He even sent an insulting letter, stating he would help the Duke if they surrendered a portion of the mine's profits. Dale is both furious and ecstatic. Furious that this idiot dared to make such a move, but ecstatic that Brandenburgg still hasn't forgotten his father's public humiliation. The young master is thrilled to give Brandenburgg a proper reminder. Again, since the day of that crushing humiliation, it's been hard for Brandenburgg to swallow his pride. So instead, he chose to settle this affair using another low noble, beefing with the Duke. Disgusted, the young master volunteers to command the knights in this battle, only to be met with an immediate refusal from his father. The Duke thinks the boy is far too inexperienced for this fight. In fact, he even scolds Dale for saying such foolish things, because a conflict between people is vastly different from one with monsters. Next, the Duke assures Baron Greenbelt that he will offer protection of his territory. Be that as it may, our boy is saddened by the refusal. Later that day, he pours his heart out to Sir Helmet, wondering why. His father thinks he's incapable of handling a mission like that. Helmet advises him not to dwell on the Duke's words, because he must have his own personal reasons for this. Aside from that, the Knight Commander has brought a gift for the boy. It's a chessboard, a tool to hone the mind of a future master. The funny thing is, this game is different from the game of chess that Dale is familiar with. In his previous world, it's called a war game, and it directly relates to strategies in actual warfare. Helmet knows it's got a myriad of complicated rules. He intends to teach the boy all of them. But the young master quickly snatches it and runs off. Dale's mood shifts from sadness to pure excitement. He brings the board to his father. His goal, to challenge him to a game of strategy. If Dale wins, he's going to lead the territorial war for their family. The boy is rebellious, even after the Duke told him to stay out of this affair. Dale argues that war is a clash of minds, instead of a mere test of strength. That's why he wants his father to properly evaluate him. And this bold challenge is for a single match. Sir Helmet jumps in, hoping to de-escalate the situation, but the Duke abruptly stops him. He actually accepts Dale's challenge, earning Dale a triumphant smile. If his son loses, he won't participate in the war. The intense game of strategy between them begins. Helmet watches them face off against each other. His jaw literally drops in shock upon Dale's ultimate victory, who has completely cornered the Duke in the game, even though the Duke actually handicapped himself with some of his pieces. It's incredibly impressive that Dale managed to win 2 matches against his father. Now that he's won, the young master earns the right to participate in the territorial war. He even reveals that he learned about the game many years ago by diligently studying it in a library. But this was a blatant lie. Dale didn't know a damn thing about it. But it was the only way he could have salvaged this situation, without appearing strange. With his defeat, the Duke intends to keep his promise, rewarding his son with full control of the knights in the upcoming fight. Even Sir Helmet thinks this is too much. Despite the outcome, Dale's father reminds him that he won't accept the prospect of defeat. That's why he asks his son one last time if he's truly prepared to face the upcoming war. The young master loudly assures him that he'll prove his words. His father anticipates great progress from him. Time passes as we arrive at the quarters of Count Brandenburgg. He's roaring at the top of his lungs. After hearing that, the young master will lead the knights of his house. Here's when we get to see his son, who is a drunk dumbass. He is the definition of being smooth-brained. As the eldest son of Brandenburgg, he assures his father victory against the brat of Saxon, slamming his fist on the table. The Count scolds his utterly useless son, that this kid is way beyond a mere 10-year-old brat. In fact, he's a monster who far exceeds the likes of an idiot like him. Brandenburgg is seething on the inside, regretting his inability to secure Charlotte sooner. He does, however, put his son in charge of the knights for the battle to come. Hilariously, he also reminds Philip he himself won't be participating in the fight. The true leader will be Sir Milvis. All from behind the scenes. Philip's only pathetic role will be to stand there and just look pretty, if that's settled. He orders Sir Milvis to take his whining son away. Brandenburgg desperately wanted to lead this battle himself, but he couldn't allow the world to see him demolishing a child on the battlefield. He knows damn well that Duke Saxon cooked up this strategy for a reason. A few more days passed, and we arrived at Baron Greenbelt's territory. This dude looks like he's seen a ghost. It's because his savior has arrived in the form of the young master, instead of the help his father promised them. Some of the Baron's knights insultingly wonder if the boy can even wield a sword. Baron Greenbelt laughs off their fears, greeting the young master properly. But deep down, he's shitting his pants, terrified that his saving grace is a mere child, leading an order of knights. Greenbelt welcomes the boy inside, but the kid refuses such an offer. Greenbelt is stunned by this refusal, as the young master raises his sword and puts it against the Baron's neck. Dale states that he wants to personally inspect the strength of Greenbelt's forces beforehand. So, he cheekily demands a duel with the strongest soldier. One man's voice shouts among the group. A red-haired warrior arrogantly boasts his undefeated duel record, but inside, he's actually dying to teach the kid a lesson. Dale shoots him a glare, withdraws his sword from the Baron's neck, and declares that the soldiers of Greenbelt severely underestimate his strength. The young master understands that they're reacting this way because an important fight has been handed to a little child. Plunging his sword, Dale openly accuses the soldiers of being weak, just like they have their own suspicions. So does he. The only way to resolve their concerns is through a fight, and our boy is just dying to face off against this so-called strongest knight, when it's crystal clear that the same punk is drunk to the brim. His words wound the man's pride, so he quickly draws his sword to meet the boy's challenge. Habak of Greenbelt intends to fight for his Baron's honor, which is the perfect invitation for Dale. Moments after they've geared up for their duel, Dale can't help but wonder if his opponent has heard any rumors about his battle prowess. To Dale's surprise, Habak admits he's already well aware of the young master's power. But here's where things get interesting, because it leaves our hero completely baffled, wondering why this guy is even confident in the first place. He suspects there's a secret weapon up this guy's sleeve. Habak lunges forward at blinding speed, his blade matching Dale's own, much to Dale's surprise. But Habak is then blocked by a shadowy defense. The knight immediately goes on the full offensive, forcing Dale into a defensive position, dodging rapid blows. Our boy senses absolutely no aura emanating from his opponent's weapon, but that's perfectly normal, as not many knights are capable of wielding that kind of power. Yet, at the very same time, Dale is itching to retaliate with everything he's got, so he invokes the terrifying power of shadows, engulfing the knight in a suffocating field of black. Habak is momentarily surprised, but his lightning-fast reflexes let him slash through the vines. Now he can't fully focus on Dale, due to the disruptive effects of his own artifacts. The young master presses his assault with even more dark magic spells. The disappointing truth is, this guy's abilities are actually quite mediocre so far. But then, something absolutely crazy happens. Habak straight up faints. Bro is literally on the ground, completely exhausted. Now it's Dale who is absolutely terrified, unable to believe the strongest knight is so damn weak. Suddenly, Baron Greenbelt shouts at our boy for eliminating an elite-level knight right before the battle even begins. This very remark absolutely infuriates our boy. Dale immediately questions if this clown has any idea how terrible their current position, especially considering their current level. They can't even fight effectively in the upcoming battle. He wonders if Greenbelt plans to just sit on his ass, doing nothing. The young master can't even stomach the idea that an elite knight could be so incredibly weak. He even remarks on how the House of Saxon vows to protect others, but that doesn't mean they should neglect their own responsibilities. With this shocking revelation, he boldly declares that the knights of his family will be replacing Greenbelt's forces. Greenbelt has a choice to make now. The Baron could either follow Dale, or he could choose his own utter destruction. The rest of the knights quickly drop to their knees, swearing their unwavering loyalty to Dale's leadership. Our next scene transports us back to the House of Saxon. Lady Elena is absolutely sick with worry for her child's safety. Meanwhile, the Duke reassures her that everything will be just fine, all thanks to their incredibly talented son. Dale's future looks dazzlingly bright. So much so that the Duke can already guarantee his success. Bro thinks his child is practically destined to rule the world. But currently, this kid is having a headache of the 9,000th level. He'd expected the people outside the duchy to be just as brilliant as himself. But as it turns out, they're nothing but a bunch of weaklings. And then there's the Holy Knight, who definitely knew the true state of the Greenbelt barony and deliberately suggested it as a target. The next day, Elite Knight Havoc is struggling with a gigantic boulder, begging them to stop training, but the Knights of Noir are far from done. They're expertly molding these weaklings into capable soldiers for the brutal battle ahead. Havoc is such a winner, he complains endlessly. Dale gives his instructions. Surreal needs to focus on teaching these clowns from the ground up. He also wants a messenger sent into the Perker barony to forward peace negotiations. Dale actually has zero interest in last-minute peace terms. It's just that a part of him is absolutely dying to see Brandenburg's shitty face. Before the Real fight begins,